Hello class, this is a lecture for Module 3. Before I talk about Excel functions, I want to talk a little about data mining. An ideal definition of data mining can be that it is a process of discovering knowledge or patterns from a massive data or big data. Now, machine learning is a method of data analysis or data mining that automates analytical model building. It is a branch of artificial intelligence based on the idea that systems can learn from data, identifying patterns, and make decisions with minimal human intervention. And this definition was taken from SAS. You can pause this video for a couple of minutes and think about a question. The question is based on the software applications and services you use every day. Think about one service that you perceive and you know utilizes machine learning and behaves like an artificial intelligence system. And also, if you would like to share that with the class and me, you are welcome to post it in discussions on Canvas. And you could just go in discussions and then start a new thread. So the question is, based on the software applications and services you use every day, think about one service that you perceive or know that utilizes machine learning and behaves like an artificial intelligence system. Now let's look at CRISP-DM, which is short for Cross-Industry Standard for Data Mining. Chapter 1 in your textbook 2 explains this concept in detail. Since it is not assigned in the readings, I'm giving you a brief overview in this video. I will suggest that if you look at the textbook, you get more details and like if you have the time. So cross-industry standard process for data mining is the standardization process for data mining. So when there are different industries involved, where do we start, or how do we get all the data together to build a model? So this is just a theory model which was built to understand the process of data mining across industries. So it comprises of 6 steps. The first being business understanding, which basically means that you're trying to know what the business does and what are its requirements and what can you do to make it better. So, for example, your business could be to build smartphones. So you will start with like, what is a smartphone and where do we start? What's inside it? And what kind of manufacturers are involved in building that smartphone. And then once you have a finished product, like who do you sell it to, and also how do you sell it to, and also eventually thinking about increasing the sales and profit margins. So once you have that, you move on to data understanding, where in the stage where we're trying to gather data, and that we think would address the business needs. So, for example, if you want, when we all make purchase, we want to be sure that that is the best product in our budget and in the market, and we gather a lot of intel before the purchase itself. So we evaluate every aspect of the information or the data that we get, and evaluate it with our just a human. Not using any of our tools, but just our our own brain's analytical ability to understand what's good for us. So for this, on a technical level, we will look at databases and product reviews or recommendation systems. So those examples I could give for data understanding. So data preparation is once you've gathered all that intel, you will start mining some insightful details from it. So that goes under data preparation. So data cleaning and data scrubbing can be used as synonyms. That is pretty much cleaning the data out of inconsistencies and also missing values. use. So data modeling is a phase where we can apply algorithms and techniques to manipulate the data. Classification and prediction are two types of models where we are categorizing data, or we're building a model to predict results or decisions. So for example, for classification would be decision trees. And neural networks can also be called as a prediction technique. And also it comes under classification and prediction, because you could go with the pattern recognition with neural networks, but it can act, it's much stronger when you have too many attributes and you're not able to predict. That's when we use neural networks. And also deep learning, if you're interested, you can look it up. Evaluation. So cross-validation is a technique for evaluation. Evaluation is thinking about the usability of the model. Does it fit the business requirement or not? It includes the human element that we're required to look at the results and check if the analysis was right. So we correlate back to our business requirements and see if our model did what we were looking for. And deployment is the last stage, which includes automation of the model, meeting the user's needs, and the reiterating the process to meet the performing goals. So we can go back to step one and look at what were our business needs, and then look at our deployment or our evaluation and deployment, and go back to the cycle. We can repeat the process. So data analysis should not be a static process, and where it's just one data set at one point in time, and then even the results would be just static. So it is not continuous. So I'm just throwing out an idea. It's just think beyond this static point of data. Picture a continuous flow of data, and because this is where our artificial intelligence plays a vital role, because the automation of a model. So when I say a model, that's you can be you can think about like a system where you're giving an input data and then it's processing it for you and then giving you an output. It's similar to generating a report, but what we're trying to do with data mining is, or automation process, is that we eliminate the process of manual intervention, or where we're inserting data every day or building the model from scratch every day. We just we build a template or we build a skeleton, and then for data that's coming in every day, we get usable results. So that's all about data mining. So if you have any questions about this section, please email me or refer back to the textbook. Okay, I need to share my Excel screen. This is it. Yes, hopefully it's visible. All right, so now let's look at some of the Excel functions assigned in this module. So I will start with the text to column wizard. So I use this particular function a lot because it just helps me to whenever I copy text from a website or a news source and then I put it onto Excel, it just comes up in a big blob and then in a single cell. So that's something I don't want. So what I do is I can either go here to the data menu, and then you'll find an option called text to columns, and then you can read the description. It says split one single cell of column of text into multiple columns. So let me copy this and then put it here, because it's gonna, when it splits up the text into columns, it moves towards the right. So I'm just making sure that my right side is of the sheet is free. And so I have two options here. It's either fixed length or delimited. So if in this particular text that I copied, I do not have any delimiters. It's just separated by tabs. So let me just show you with delimited what happens is, so you have a tab or a semicolon, comma, space, or other. So when you have when you have something like this, or a regular expression, or something unquantifiable by these options, what you can do is just click on other, and then maybe I want to split it at W, and then there you can see that in the data preview it has separated my text by the delimiter that I have mentioned, which is W in this case. So it's very important for you to look at the data carefully when you're doing that, and when it's required. So any keys on the keyboard, I think I've used symbols, the dollar sign, an asterisk, and a tilde operator. So you can do that. And the most common are the comma and the space. If I just did the space, and it gives me the separation by space. Let me just do that, and then it gives me, so this is the type of the data that it's splitting it to. So if you have dates, so please make sure you put the date, or in this case it's just text. If it goes, it's okay even if you put it in general, because we can go back and change the settings. So I'll just put it to text and then click on finish. There you go. So my columns J, K, and L are, I have new data in all these columns. So the point I was trying to make here is, if you do not automatically set it to text when you were separating it, you can right click on it and click on format cells. And then in format cells, you have other options. If it was a number, then you can click on number and change the format, or add currency to it, or make it as a date, time, or just keep it as text. Another thing that I want to mention is, go to alignment. You can see the text control where you have wrap text. So wrap text is something where I will fix the length of my column or the row, and then I want the text to be inside it. So with Excel, it just goes like an infinite loop of everything. So if you fix the columns and the row widths, it's possible that your text will be adjusted to those lines. And let's try merge cells if that's possible. I click and merge cells. Okay, it's gonna discard other values, so I will only be left with Gregory. I think I've always tried the other way, where I try to like merge cells to begin with, and then I type in something. Maybe I'll just type this, and then yeah. So that way you can see that I have like merged this the columns to J, K, and L for the row 7, and these three remain same. All right, that's some part of the text functions. But you can do it for numbers as well. Another thing that I want to highlight from these chapters is the unichar and Unicode. When you're cleaning data, you can run into these problems. So unichar is a Unicode characters or symbols. Unicode is a number, so unichar is the character. So symbols that are used by scientists, which are characters from many languages. So you have the symbols from Latin, the sigma, Greek letters, so Greek alphabets. Um, so you can find different symbols in your data set. So Unicode is returns the code number. So for example, the code 84 is for the letter capital T, and then you have to remember that it's different for a capital, and then there's a different value for a lowercase t. So it's 116. I want it formula text. All right. And my unichar is when I reverse, it's just a reverse process of Unicode. So for the code, I gave 64. And then for the number 64, the character is @ Let's look at the next one, flash fill. I can't find it. Oh yeah, fill. It's right here in the home menu. So what this does is that if I have a series that I want to replicate, it would just give me, let me click on that. So if I want to start a series, let me go here, go scroll down a little bit. I don't want to mess up that one. All right, let me start to fill a series of series and columns. It just shows step value 10. Didn't do anything. Yeah, I made a mistake. So I need to start with the number and then go to fill and click on series and then give a number. And then rows would fill it up horizontally. So I need it in the same column F. So I'm gonna just click on columns and then it gives me, so it'll print the numbers sequentially. So you can adjust your step value, try to print numbers differently based on the series. So you can change the step value and stop value. And you can also generate automatic random dates with this. And yeah, the part I missed over here is two functions, find and write. So if you refer to the textbook, you can find that find is Excel function that helps you find which returns the this occurrence of the first so where it finds the space in this particular sequence, it will return the position. So 8 is where it found the first space. So, and this formula here explains to us that where did I find the second space? So that is C5 plus 1. So my start number begins with the 9th character, and in this case, in the first case, my start count. I'll start counting from 1, but in my second case, I'll start counting from 9, and that's when I'll find the second occurrence of my the space. So you can follow along these formulas. Find right is the right side of the string. left side of the string, starting string. That, and let's go on to datetime. So I've only highlighted a couple of datetime functions. So you can also look at the textbook chapters. Now is the current date and time, and with dates, I think just like we do with numbers, you can also drag and create the dates for sequential dates. And this is a formula I used that to find the difference of dates. You can get it in days because this doesn't have a time to it. So it's just going to give you the count of dates. So date value is another function where in case you have a your date cell is identified as a string, then if you have like 10,000 or 40,000 records and you have to convert all of them to a date, so all you can do is convert that, use the date value function, and it converts it to a date format. Then you can still change it. Let me try to see if it works to date. Yeah, it does. So you can use this to convert it that way. So there are like two shortcuts you can use to get the current date and time. So I'm going to try in the E3. So I'm pressing Control and semicolon, and then I'm getting the current date. Now, what if I need the current time? Then I'll do Control Shift and semicolon, then get the current time in AM/PM format. But if you want them together, so what you can do is a Control semicolon, hit the space bar, and then Control Shift semicolon. That way you have all of it in one place. I've just created it without using the formula. So this was Control plus semicolon, and then hit enter. And this one was Control, oh wait, sorry, then I used a space, and I did Control plus Shift plus semicolon. And this was just a Control, this is Control plus semicolon. So that way you have an easier way to create your current date and time. So if we're done with this, then I think we're left with histograms. But before histograms, I just wanted to tell you about Data Analysis Toolpack. So in my data menu, if I go to the data menu, I see in the right corner something called Data Analysis. If I click on that, I get a small window which has multiple options to do statistical regression or exponential smoothing, descriptive statistics, creating a histogram, so which we will do in a couple of minutes. So if your Excel is not having this, because I've already enabled it, so you could go to File and then click on Options, and in the options go to Add-ins and go to Manage and click on Go. So you get a smaller window which has the Analysis Toolpack, the Toolpack with VBA, Euro Currency Tools, and Solver. So you can just click on one of them. One is the Analysis Toolpack. So if you're a user of Solver, you can check on that. So, and then just click on OK. Now since I have it, I'll just leave it. So let me go to stock prices, and this will help me create a histogram. So a histogram is a chart that will can tell me, or help me summarize my data, and also tell me how many observations fall in a particular range of values. And the numbers that I have here on the right is called bin numbers. and bin numbers that represent the intervals you want the histogram to use. So this is a stock data I took from the textbook, and on the right here for 49, they have created a minimum and a maximum for each of these categories. So I will create, what do I have here? I have a histogram for GE here, but I want to create something for GM. So let's do it from beginning. So click on data analysis and then go to histogram and click on OK. That will give you, that will ask you for an input range. So your input range is your data. So let me click on GM and just making sure that I have my labels, data labels as well. So, and the bin range would be these values. You don't always have to use this classification. You can have your own classification. This is something I typed in. And my data has labels, and how about I make it in a new workbook or new worksheet. And then I want a chart output, and also I want a Pareto chart. Let's see if this does the trick. All right, it did. So it gave me a Pareto chart, but let me go back and see if it gives me a regular chart. I mean, regular histogram as well. I'll tell you what Pareto does for me in a sec. Okay, so you can see that this is a regular histogram that Excel created for us, and then the graph here, I will just put data labels to it. I can see the frequencies. So on the bottom and the horizontal axis is my bin range. And I can see that from values which are between minus 0.1, greater than that, and then less than 0.1, that's right in the zero range, are 59. So the Pareto chart looks a little different because it's skewed mostly towards the right side, to the right side. So it follows the 80-20 rule, and it emphasizes the important items towards the left. Let's see, data labels. So in this case, we can see that it's sorted by the highest, just 0, 0.1, 0.2. So for example, think about 20% of when we draw a graph of like products and products sold and their profits, the chart would just show us that 20% of the products generated 80% of profits. In this case as well, it is showing us the curve. Another way to generate this histogram would be to go to insert, and then you have the statistical charts. Let me select the data and then maybe give me. So when I do this, it automatically creates the bin range for the chart, which I can change. I can right click on it and click on format axis and go to the number of bins. And now I have 10, maybe I want 8. Yeah, so It all depends on how you want your how you define your range, and then based on that you can change your chart. What else do we got? Let me get rid of this. So I think in a similar way, when we looked at the Pareto chart as well, you can see that it is skewed right, and the red line indicates that it's only bent on the part where it is seen a raise, and the total accounts to 100%. So when we talk about the 80-20 rule, it could be like 80% of the products generate 20% of profits, or 20% of profits, or 20% of products generated 80% of profits. So in this case, we can see that the most stock prices are in between minus 0.03 to starting there. I think we can refer back to our sheet. This chart is much more clear. Great. So once we're done, this is also a Pareto chart is a combination of a bar chart and a line chart. I think that was it. I will post this Excel sheet and also this video. And also please let me know if you have any questions. I did not cover a lot of things in this video, but if you have any questions with any of the formulas and how you could use them in your assignment, you can always email me. And yeah, thank you for your attention.